Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. The Warning. Russell Mercer's phone vibrated against the leather seat of his Audi as he maneuvered through downtown traffic. The illuminated screen displayed Detective Tanner. He hesitated. Frank Tanner never called without a reason. Mercer, Russell answered, his voice clipped and professional. Russell, it's Frank. You need to see something. The detective's voice carried an unusual edge. It's about your house. I've got surveillance footage from last night. 2 a.m. Strange lights. Activity. I can't explain it over the phone. Russell's grip tightened on the steering wheel. I'm downtown. 20 minutes. At the precinct, Detective Tanner, a weathered man with salt and pepper hair and eyes that had seen too much, pulled Russell into a side room. On a grainy screen, Russell watched the footage. His colonial-style house bathed in what appeared to be rapidly moving lights, shadows shifting in windows that should have been dark. What am I looking at, Frank? Russell's voice remained measured despite the unease crawling up his spine. No idea. Anonymous tip. Camera across the street caught it. Frank studied Russell's face. Your wife said you were in Boston until tomorrow. Russell nodded, his jaw clenching. Diana believed he would be away another day, negotiating a security contract with a biotech firm. 10 years of marriage, and the distance between them had grown into a chasm. This been happening before. First I'm hearing of it, Russell replied, but something cold settled in his stomach. For months, he'd noted small inconsistencies in Diana's behavior. Hushed phone calls, unexplained absences, a growing coldness toward him. Russell had met Diana Hammond at a charity gala 12 years ago. Her beauty, willowy frame, honey blonde hair, and green eyes had drawn him initially, but her sharp wit had kept him engaged. After their marriage, they'd built what appeared to be an ideal life. Successful careers, 2 children, and a home in an exclusive neighborhood. But somewhere, the foundation had cracked. You've got cameras at home, right? With your security background? Frank asked. Russell owned Sentinel Security Solutions, which provided high-end protection for corporate clients. His home system, ironically, had been disabled 3 times in recent months. Technical glitches, Diana had explained each time. I do. They've been having issues. Russell's mind calculated rapidly. Thanks for showing me this, Frank. There's something else, Frank hesitated. Your brother-in-law was spotted near your house last night. Gregory Hammond. We've had him on our radar for some gambling debts. Russell hadn't seen Gregory in months. Diana's younger brother had always been troubled, bright but directionless, perpetually chasing get-rich-quick schemes. As Russell drove home, he called his daughter Audrey's phone. No answer. He tried his son Caleb next. Straight to voicemail. Finally, he dialed the house. No response. A sense of dread built within him as he accelerated toward home. Chapter 2. Confrontation. Russell's security training kicked in as he parked a block from his house, approaching on foot through the neighbor's yard. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across his property as he noted 3 unfamiliar cars parked nearby. One belonged to Gregory, another to Diana's mother Eleanor, the third unknown. A movement caught his eye, Gregory pacing on the side porch, a cigarette trembling between his fingers. Russell's brother-in-law looked haggard, his designer clothes rumpled, his eyes darting nervously. Russell approached silently, grabbing Gregory's arm and spinning him against the wall. Jesus! Russell! Gregory gasped, cigarette dropping from his fingers. You shouldn't be here. My house, Greg. What's happening? Russell kept his voice low, controlled. Gregory's eyes weren't just fearful, they were terrified. You shouldn't have come back. They're not finished. Who isn't finished? Where are my kids? Caleb and Audrey are fine. They're at the mall. But you need to go, man. Gregory was shaking violently, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool air. I'm just keeping watch. I couldn't stop them. I tried, but... From inside the house, a woman's voice rose sharply. Your children will hate you after this. Russell recognized his mother-in-law Eleanor's distinctive cultured tone, now cracked with emotion. Then came Diana's voice, high and strained. I couldn't stop them. Russell pushed past Gregory, moving toward the back door. Gregory grabbed his arm. Don't go in there, Russell. Please. You don't understand what's happening. Russell broke free, entering through the kitchen. The house was unnaturally still, except for the voices coming from upstairs, from the master bedroom. He took the stairs 2 at a time, combat instincts fully engaged. Gregory had somehow gotten ahead of him, standing guard outside the bedroom door. "Please," he begged. "They said they just needed a few more hours." Russell kicked the door with enough force to splinter the frame. The scene that greeted him was nothing he could have prepared for. Diana stood near the window, mascara streaking down her face, wearing an elegant black dress he'd never seen before. Eleanor sat rigid in a chair, her aristocratic features twisted in distress. A tall, silver-haired man in an expensive suit stood between them, his hand extended toward Russell, as if he could ward him off. But it was the bedroom itself that momentarily stunned Russell. Their personal space had been transformed. Strange symbols marked the walls. Candles burned on every surface. Documents and photographs lay scattered across their bed. "Russell," Diana gasped. "You weren't supposed to be home until tomorrow." The silver-haired man recovered first, his initial shock replaced by a cold stare. "Mr. Mercer, I presume. Unfortunate timing." "Victor, don't," Diana warned, panic evident in her voice. Russell surveyed the scene with military precision, noting exits, threats, and the strange tableau before him. "Someone has exactly 10 seconds to explain what the hell is happening in my house." Victor stepped forward, exuding confidence. "Nothing sinister, I assure you. A spiritual cleansing of sorts. Diana has been troubled lately." "Spiritual cleansing? With legal documents?" Russell moved toward the bed, scanning the papers strewn across it. "Transfer of property deeds. Bank authorizations. His children's trust fund documents." Eleanor rose shakily. "Russell, please try to understand. Diana's been suffering. Dr. Laszlo is helping." "Doctor?" Russell's gaze fixed on Victor Laszlo, noting his manicured hands, the custom suit, the predatory confidence. "Victor is an art dealer," Diana blurted out. "He's been helping me with some anxiety issues through alternative methods." Russell picked up a photograph from the bed, Diana and Victor embracing intimately on what appeared to be a yacht. The timestamp showed 3 months ago. Gregory stood frozen in the doorway as Russell's cold gaze swept the room again, cataloging each person's expression, each lie, each betrayal. "Everyone out," Russell said quietly. Too quietly. Except Diana. Chapter 3, Revelations. The bedroom door closed behind Eleanor, Gregory, and Victor, leaving Russell and Diana alone in the candlelit room. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. "It's not what it looks like," Diana finally said, her voice small. Russell's laugh was devoid of humor. "Really? Because it looks like you're having an affair with Dr. Laszlo while plotting to steal my assets with the help of your mother and brother." He methodically gathered the documents from the bed, examining each one. Power of attorney. Property transfers. Access to the children's trust funds. Quite the spiritual cleansing. Diana's composure cracked further. "You don't understand. Victor showed me things about energy and connection." "Save it." Russell set the papers aside, his movements precise. "How long?" "How long what?" She attempted innocence. "The affair. The planning. The betrayal." Russell remained standing, his powerful frame silhouetted against the window. At 42, he maintained the physical discipline from his days in Special Forces, before he'd built Sentinel Security into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. Diana sank onto the edge of the bed. 6 months. But it wasn't planned. Victor and I connected at the gallery opening. He understood me in ways you never tried to. And the ritual aspect? The candles, symbols? Diana glanced around, momentarily confused, then understanding dawned. "That was Victor's idea. He said if you discovered us, we could claim it was some spiritual intervention, that I was under stress and seeking alternative healing." "Clever," Russell conceded coldly. "And my children? Where do they fit into this plan to rob me blind?" Diana flinched. "Caleb knows nothing. Audrey." Victor thought she might be suspicious, so he's been mentoring her. "Art lessons. She's fond of him." The thought of Laszlo manipulating his 15-year-old daughter made something dangerous flash in Russell's eyes. "Why now? Why today?" he asked. "The Cayman accounts. They're only accessible with biometric verification. Victor has connections who can bypass that, but they needed personal items, hair samples." She trailed off, realizing how damning her words were. Russell nodded, the final pieces falling into place. "And Gregory? What's his role?" "He owes money to dangerous people. Victor promised to clear his debts in exchange for help." "And your mother?" Diana looked away. "She never thought you were good enough for me." Too rough around the edges, despite your success. She pushed me toward Victor. Russell went to the window, staring out at the manicured lawn where his children had played as toddlers. When he turned back, his expression had shifted from cold fury to apparent defeat. "You've won, Diana," he said quietly. "I'll be at the Westmont Hotel tonight. We'll discuss terms tomorrow." Relief flooded Diana's face, mixed with surprise at his capitulation. "That's very reasonable of you, Russell." He gathered a few items from his dresser, then paused at the door. "One more thing. How were you planning to explain my absence once you drained the accounts?" Diana hesitated, then lifted her chin. Nervous breakdown. "The pressure of running Sentinel finally got to you. You checked yourself into an exclusive facility to recover." Russell's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Comprehensive planning. I'm almost impressed." After Russell left, Diana reached for her phone with trembling hands, dialing Victor. "He knows everything," she whispered. "But he's given up without a fight. He's staying at the Westmont tonight." In the hotel bar, Russell nursed a whiskey, watching the door. At precisely 9 o'clock, a woman with short auburn hair and alert eyes entered, scanning the room before spotting him. "You look like hell, Mercer," she said, sliding into the booth across from him. "Nice to see you too, Olivia," Russell replied to his former squad mate from Special Forces days. Now the head of a private intelligence firm, Olivia Reed was one of the few people Russell trusted implicitly. "So," she said after ordering a drink, "your wife is screwing an art dealer and trying to steal your company. That about cover it." "There's more." Russell pushed a flash drive across the table. "I need everything on Victor Laszlo. His real background, his connections, his vulnerabilities. I need to know what he wants with my daughter. And I need surveillance on everyone involved." Olivia pocketed the drive. "What exactly are we talking about here, Russell?" Russell's eyes were flint. "They came into my house. They tried to steal my life. They attempted to turn my children against me. This isn't just about consequences, Olivia." She nodded slowly. "It's about justice." "No," Russell corrected. "It's about retribution." As Olivia left, Russell's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, Roof. Now, on the hotel's rooftop garden, Gregory Hammond paced nervously, starting when Russell emerged from the stairwell. "I had nothing to do with the forgeries," Gregory blurted. "That was all Victor and Diana." Russell approached slowly. "Why are you here, Greg?" "To warn you. It's worse than you think." Gregory's hands shook as he lit another cigarette. "Victor Laszlo isn't just an art dealer. He specializes in identity theft, art forgery, blackmail. Diana doesn't know who she's really involved with." "And you do?" Gregory looked away. "I owed money to the wrong people. Victor made it disappear, but the price was helping him get to you, to your money." He took a shuddering breath. "But what he's planning for Audrey, that wasn't part of the deal." Russell's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "What about my daughter, Greg? Victor collects people, Russell. Young, impressionable people with talents he can exploit. He's been grooming Audrey for months, her artistic skills. He's planning to take her to Europe for advanced training once Diana gets control of the finances." Cold fury crystallized inside Russell. "Why tell me this now?" "Because I'm a lot of things, but I won't help traffic my niece." Gregory's eyes held genuine fear. "But if Victor's suspects, I've warned you." Russell made a swift decision. "Here's what you're going to do." Chapter 4. The Players. Victor Laszlo sipped espresso at his gallery, studying the financial projections on his tablet. Diana Mercer's assets, or rather, what would soon be her assets, would fund his expansion into Asian markets beautifully. The woman herself was becoming tiresome, but her daughter showed remarkable promise. His phone buzzed with a text from Diana. Russell gave in completely. "Signing preliminary papers tomorrow." Victor frowned. Something felt wrong. Russell Mercer's background had been thoroughly investigated before Victor had approached Diana. Former Special Forces. Built Sentinel security from nothing into a powerhouse. Men like that didn't surrender without a fight. He dialed a private number. "I need deeper background on Russell Mercer. Military records. Operational history. Associates. Everything." At the gym's shooting range, Russell methodically emptied his pistol into the target, each shot grouped tightly in the center mass. The familiar ritual helped focus his thoughts. "Your form hasn't suffered in civilian life," observed Frank Tanner, stepping up beside him. "Military habits die hard," Russell replied, reloading. "Speaking of which," Frank said quietly, "I pulled your service file as a favor." Interesting reading. 3 tours. Special operations. Most of it heavily redacted. Russell didn't respond. Man with your background, Frank continued. I'd expect a different reaction to finding your wife involved with another man in your house. What would you expect? Russell fired another perfect grouping. Something more decisive. Russell set down the pistol and faced the detective. Are you here officially, Frank? Just checking on an old friend. Making sure you're not planning anything excessive. I'm exploring legal options, Russell replied evenly. Frank nodded slowly. Good to hear. By the way, your friend Victor Laszlo? Interpol has a file on him. Nothing concrete enough for charges, but he's suspected of using his art business to facilitate various frauds. Thought you might find that relevant to your legal options. After Frank left, Russell checked his phone. A message from Olivia. Preliminary intelligence gathered. Meeting set. In a nondescript office across town, Russell reviewed the files Olivia had compiled overnight. Victor Laszlo, born Vitaly Lazarenko in Belarus, Olivia summarized. Changed his identity 20 years ago. Specialized in art forgery before moving into identity theft and elaborate confidence schemes targeting wealthy individuals. His pattern is consistent. Seduces the spouse, isolates the target, drains the assets. Russell studied Victor's photograph. Associates. A network of forgers, hackers, and fixers. He's careful. Always insulates himself from direct criminal exposure. Olivia hesitated. There's more. He has a pattern with daughters from wealthy families. Gets close through mentoring, then essentially traffics them into forgery operations overseas under the guise of elite art programs. Audrey, Russell breathed, his knuckles white. You can go to the FBI, Olivia suggested. The evidence isn't concrete enough, Russell interrupted. By the time they build a case, it would be too late. He stared at the dossier. What about Diana? Did she know who she was getting involved with? Olivia slid another file across the desk. Judge for yourself. She's been researching offshore banking, identity changes, and private islands for months. Either she's complicit or willfully ignorant. Russell nodded grimly. And my mother-in-law? Eleanor Hammond has substantial gambling debts. Victor's been covering them in exchange for her influence over Diana and access to their social circle. My son, Caleb, appears uninvolved, though Victor's been cultivating him too. Expensive gifts, introductions to connected people. Russell absorbed this information in silence. Then, what's our timeline? Based on financial movements, they're accelerating. Days, not weeks. Then we move faster, Russell decided. Set up the surveillance as discussed. And I need a meeting with someone who can access certain, specialized equipment from my military days. That evening, Russell sat alone in a rented apartment, surrounded by monitors showing feeds from microscopic cameras Olivia's team had planted throughout his home, Victor's gallery, and Eleanor's condo. On one screen, Diana and Victor embraced in his private office. He actually believed I was sorry, Diana laughed. Pathetic. The mighty Russell Mercer, giving up without a fight. Victor wasn't smiling. It's too easy. The man has military training, Diana. He wouldn't just walk away. You don't know him like I do, Diana insisted. Deep down, he's always been afraid of losing me, losing his perfect family image. He built that security company to compensate for his insecurities. Victor stroked her cheek. For your sake, I hope you're right. Because men with his background don't typically forgive betrayal. Russell switched feeds to his daughter's room, where Audrey sat sketching. His heart clenched at the sight of her, 15, with his dark hair and serious eyes. He activated the audio. Someone knocked at her door. Caleb entered, 17 and lanky, wearing an expensive watch Russell had never seen before. Mom's looking for you, Caleb said. More art stuff with Victor. Audrey didn't look up from her sketch. I'm busy. What's your problem? Victor's connected. He can make your art career happen. Don't you think it's weird? Audrey asked. Dad leaves, and suddenly Victor's practically living here? Caleb shrugged. Mom seems happy for once. And the new watch? The connections Victor keeps promising? Doesn't any of this seem off to you? You're paranoid, Caleb dismissed, leaving. Audrey returned to her sketch, a surprisingly accurate rendering of Victor's face, but with cold, predatory eyes she'd clearly observed beneath his charming facade. Russell switched off the monitors, his decision crystallizing. It was time to divide and conquer. Chapter 5. Divide and Conquer. The next morning, Russell entered his attorney's office looking haggard and defeated. Exactly the image he wanted to project. Diana sat beside Victor, both impeccably dressed, while their lawyers reviewed the preliminary separation agreement. Before we proceed, Russell's attorney began, "My client has requested a private moment with his wife." Victor frowned, but nodded when Diana squeezed his hand reassuringly. 5 minutes, he conceded. In a small conference room, Diana faced Russell with practiced sympathy. "This is for the best, Russell. A clean break." Russell slumped in his chair. "Is there someone else, Diana? Just tell me the truth." She hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, I didn't plan it, but it's Laszlo, isn't it?" Russell's voice cracked convincingly. "I suspected. The art purchases. The late nights at galleries." Diana's shoulders relaxed at his apparent resignation. "Victor understands me. We connect on a deeper level. And our children? What about them? They'll adjust. Victor's been wonderful with them. Especially Audrey. He sees such potential in her art." Russell rubbed his face wearily. "This separation agreement, it gives you control of everything. The house, most of our savings, influence over the children's trust funds. You'll keep your company," Diana pointed out. "That's your true passion anyway." "I just need one thing," Russell said quietly. "One weekend with the kids before everything changes. At the lake house. No lawyers, no drama. A chance to say goodbye to our family as it was." Diana studied him, calculating. "When? This weekend. You and Victor can use the time to make plans." The defeat in Russell's voice sealed the deal. "All right," she agreed. "One weekend." When they returned, Victor looked suspicious but remained silent as Russell signed the preliminary agreement. That afternoon, Russell waited in his car outside Audrey's school. When she emerged, her face registered surprise, then wariness. "Dad? Mom said you moved out." "I did," he confirmed. "But we need to talk." "Get in." Hesitantly, she complied. Russell drove to a small park, choosing a bench far from other visitors. "What's going on?" Audrey asked. "Mom's acting weird. Caleb's suddenly Victor's best friend, and you disappeared." Russell studied his daughter. "What do you think of Victor Laszlo?" Audrey's expression closed. "He's Mom's special friend. He's giving me art lessons. And," she met his gaze directly, "and he creeps me out. The way he looks at me sometimes, it's not about art." Relief flooded through Russell. "I need to show you something, but it has to stay between us. Your safety depends on it." He handed her a tablet containing carefully selected portions of Olivia's intelligence on Victor. As Audrey read, her face paled. "These other girls, what happened to them?" "Best case? Working as forgers in his overseas operations. Worst case? I don't want to speculate. Mom knows about this." "I don't know what your mother knows," Russell said honestly. "But she's made her choice to trust him." Audrey was silent for a long moment. "What are you going to do?" "Protect you and Caleb, whatever it takes." Russell held her gaze. "But I need your help." "What about Caleb?" she asked. "Your brother's being manipulated too. Expensive gifts, promises of connections. I'll deal with him separately, but for now, we need to keep him in the dark. Victor watches him closely." Audrey nodded slowly. "What do you need me to do?" Russell outlined his instructions carefully, making sure she understood her role. That evening, Russell approached the next piece in his puzzle, Gregory. In a downtown bar, Diana's brother nursed a whiskey, jumping when Russell slid into the booth across from him. "Jesus, you're supposed to be having a breakdown," Gregory hissed. "Disappointed?" Russell asked mildly. Gregory glanced around nervously. "If Victor finds out I'm talking to you." "He won't." Russell pushed a folder across the table. "Unless you force my hand." Gregory opened it, his face draining of color at the contents. Proof of his involvement in previous schemes with Victor, including a signature on documents that could implicate him in fraud. "I don't understand," Gregory stammered. "You want to blackmail me now?" "It's too late. Diana's already getting everything." "No," Russell corrected. "I'm offering you a choice. Help me, and these documents disappear. Continue with Victor, and they go to the FBI." Gregory swallowed hard. "What kind of help?" "Information. Access. And at the crucial moment, a specific task. Victor will kill me. Victor will be too busy dealing with me." Russell's smile was chilling. "Besides, you have a chance to protect Audrey. Isn't that worth the risk?" Gregory stared into his whiskey. "What exactly would I have to do?" Meanwhile, at the Hammond estate, Eleanor entertained Diana and Victor with champagne. To new beginnings, Eleanor toasted. Though I must say, Russell's surrender seems suspicious. He's broken, Diana dismissed. All that military bravado was just compensating for his insecurity. Victor remained thoughtful. My sources have been digging deeper into his service record. Did you know your husband received specialized training in psychological warfare? Deception strategies? He was part of an elite unit that specialized in elaborate sting operations against high-value targets. Diana waved dismissively. Ancient history. He's been a corporate suit for years. People like that don't change fundamentally, Victor insisted. They just adapt their skills to new environments. Eleanor frowned. What are you suggesting? That we accelerate our timeline, Victor decided. The sooner we secure the assets and distance ourselves, the better. Diana's phone buzzed with a text from Russell. The kids want to leave for the lake house Friday after school. Okay. She showed it to Victor, who considered it. This could work in our favor. While he's isolated with the children, we can finalize everything. By the time he returns, it will be done. Diana smiled coldly. Perfect. I'll tell him it's fine. Across town, in Olivia's secure office, Russell reviewed the surveillance feeds with grim satisfaction. They took the bait, Olivia confirmed. They've moved their timeline up to this weekend, exactly when you'll be isolated at the lake house. And our other preparations? In place, Olivia assured him. Your specialized equipment has been secured. The financial transfers are ready to be reversed the moment we have evidence. And our friend at Interpol is standing by. Russell nodded, watching the monitors where his wife laughed with her lover, plotting his destruction. Beware the fury of a patient man, he quoted softly. John Dryden, Olivia recognized. Victor thinks I've given up, Russell said. He's about to learn how wrong he is. Chapter 6. The trap is set. Friday afternoon found Russell loading luggage into his SUV while Caleb slouched nearby, clearly unhappy about the forced family weekend. This is stupid, the teenager complained. I had plans with friends. Humor me, Russell replied mildly. One weekend as a family before everything changes. Everything's already changed, Caleb muttered, glancing at his phone. Mom's happier with Victor than she ever was with you. Russell noted the expensive accessories his son now sported, designer clothes, new phone, the watch. Victor's been generous with you. Caleb looked defensive. He sees my potential. I'm sure he does, Russell agreed, loading the final bag. Audrey should be home any minute. Then we'll go. Inside the house, Diana made a final inspection of Russell's home office, ensuring all relevant financial documents were gathered. Victor had assured her that with Russell away, his team could complete the digital transfers undisturbed. Her phone rang, a private number she recognized as Victor's secure line. Is he gone yet? Victor demanded without preamble. Leaving shortly. Audrey's running late from school. Good. Remember, keep him distracted this weekend. My team needs 48 hours uninterrupted. Don't worry, Diana soothed. Russell thinks this is his chance for closure. He'll be focused on the children, not business. And Gregory? Diana glanced out the window where her brother was speaking with Russell beside the SUV. Keeping an eye on things here, as instructed. When Diana hung up, she didn't notice the microscopic camera installed in her wedding photo frame, capturing everything. Outside, Gregory shifted nervously as Russell checked his watch. Remember, Russell said quietly, tonight at 9. Not earlier, not later. Gregory nodded imperceptibly. If this doesn't work, it will. Russell spotted Audrey walking up the driveway and ended the conversation. An hour later, Russell drove toward their lake house, Audrey beside him and Caleb in the back seat, headphones firmly in place. Once they were well outside the city, Russell signaled to Audrey, who nodded and pulled out a tablet. What's that? Caleb asked, momentarily curious. School project, Audrey replied. Dad's helping me. Russell glanced in the rearview mirror. Caleb, there's something we need to discuss when we reach the lake house. If it's about accepting Victor in our lives, save it, the teenager retorted. Mom already gave me the talk. Did that talk include explaining where Victor's money comes from? Russell asked calmly. Or why he's so interested in your sister's art skills? Caleb frowned, but said nothing, returning to his music. In the front seat, Audrey whispered, The program's running, Dad. Russell nodded. On her tablet, a sophisticated tracking program monitored the electronic intrusions currently occurring across his financial accounts, exactly as he'd anticipated. Back in the city, Victor supervised a team of hackers in a luxury penthouse office. Progress, he demanded. We've accessed his main accounts, reported a young woman with multiple screens before her. Sentinel Security's corporate accounts will take longer. They have serious encryption. What about the trust funds? Working on it. He set up complex verification protocols. Victor smiled coldly. Fortunately, we have all the necessary personal information thanks to Diana. Keep working. In a corner, another technician called Victor over. Sir, there's something odd. Some of these accounts are showing recent activity, large transfers to offshore locations we can't trace. Victor frowned. Within the last 24 hours. A flicker of concern crossed Victor's face. Accelerate everything. I want complete control by tomorrow night. At the Hammond estate, Eleanor hosted a small dinner party. Wealthy friends who would be crucial to maintaining social standing after Diana's divorce became public. Diana's simply devastated. Eleanor confided to her guests. Russell had a complete breakdown. The pressure of his business, very sad. As servants cleared the first course, Gregory arrived, looking distracted. You're late, Eleanor hissed when he joined them. And you look terrible. Sorry, mother, Gregory mumbled, accepting a glass of wine. Last-minute details for Diana. Eleanor studied her son suspiciously, but returned to her guests. Gregory checked his watch, 7:30. 90 minutes until he needed to execute Russell's instructions. At the lake house, Russell prepared dinner while Audrey set the table and Caleb remained glued to his phone. No signal, Caleb complained eventually. That's the point of a weekend away, Russell replied, setting a plate before him. Family time. Caleb scoffed. What family? You and Mom are divorcing. You're giving her everything. And we're stuck here pretending nothing's changed. Russell sat down, his expression serious. You're right, Caleb. Everything has changed, but not in the way you think. What does that mean? Instead of answering, Russell nodded to Audrey, who placed her tablet in front of her brother. On the screen was a dossier, Victor's real identity, his criminal history, and most significantly, images of young artists who had disappeared into his mentorship program. What is this? Caleb demanded, pushing it away. The truth about your mother's new friend, Russell said quietly. The truth about where that watch came from, and why he's been so generous with you. This is bullshit, Caleb stood abruptly. You're making this up because Mom left you for someone better. Audrey intervened. I thought the same thing at first, Caleb. Dad showed me this 2 days ago, and I didn't believe it either. So I did my own research. She swiped to new screens, her own investigations, including conversations with a former gallery assistant of Victor's who had escaped his operation. Caleb sat down heavily, the color draining from his face. Does Mom know about this? That's what we're going to find out, Russell said grimly. Tonight, at exactly 9 o'clock, Gregory Hammond slipped into Victor's private study at the gallery, using the key Diana had given him months ago. His hands trembled as he followed Russell's precise instructions, planting microscopic devices near Victor's computer and in his private safe. The safe itself was problematic, a high-security model with biometric locks. Gregory extracted a small device from his pocket, attaching it to the safe's control panel as Russell had shown him. The device blinked green once, then went dark. Mission accomplished, Gregory turned to leave, and found himself face-to-face with Victor Laszlo. Working late, Gregory? Victor asked softly. Gregory felt his heart hammering against his ribs. Just, dropping off the documents Diana wanted you to have. For the transfers. Victor stepped closer. Really? And why not give them to me directly? Why sneak into my office? I wasn't sneaking, Gregory protested weakly. You weren't answering your phone. Diana insisted they had to be delivered tonight. Victor studied him, then glanced around the office. Where are these documents, then? Gregory patted his pockets, feigning confusion. I must have left them in my car. I'll go get them. No need, Victor smiled thinly. Let's look together, shall we? At the lake house, Russell's phone buzzed with a predetermined signal from Olivia. Gregory had been compromised. Contingency plan activated, he murmured to Audrey, who nodded and typed rapidly on her tablet. What's going on? Caleb demanded. What are you two doing? Russell faced his son squarely. Protecting our family. Victor Laszlo isn't just after our money, Caleb. He's after your sister. Caleb looked at Audrey, who refused to meet his eyes. The art mentorship program? A front, Russell confirmed. For recruiting young forgers. Those who cooperate work in his overseas operations. Those who don't. I don't believe you. Caleb said, but doubt had crept into his voice. Mom wouldn't let that happen. Your mother is compromised, Russell said flatly. Whether willingly or through manipulation, we'll find out soon. How? Caleb challenged. Russell checked his watch. About now, Victor is discovering that someone has been in his office. He'll assume it's me, working through Gregory. He'll accelerate his plans, make mistakes. And we'll be ready, Audrey added. Caleb looked between them, conflicted. Why should I trust you over Mom? Russell pushed a secure phone across the table. Call her. Ask her directly about Victor's past. See how she responds. After a moment's hesitation, Caleb took the phone. Chapter 7. The Turning Point. Victor's penthouse hummed with tension as Gregory sat rigidly on an expensive sofa, watched by one of Victor's security personnel. I don't understand the problem, Diana insisted, pacing nervously. So Gregory was dropping off documents. Why the interrogation? Because nothing about his story checks out, Victor replied coolly. No documents in his car. No urgent messages from you. And most interestingly, signs that my safe was tampered with. Diana turned to her brother. Greg, what's going on? Gregory stared at the floor, silent. Victor's phone chimed. He checked it, then smiled thinly. Well, this is interesting. Our technical team has detected unusual security protocols activating across Russell's accounts. Almost as if. His eyes narrowed at Gregory. Almost as if someone warned him. That's ridiculous, Diana scoffed. Russell's at the lake house with the children. He has no idea what's happening. Victor studied her. Are you sure about that, Diana? Your husband built a security empire. Do you really think he surrendered everything without a plan? Before Diana could respond, her phone rang, Caleb's ringtone. She answered immediately. Caleb? Is everything all right? Mom. Her son's voice sounded strained. I need to ask you something important. Of course, sweetheart. What is it? Is it true what Dad says about Victor? About his criminal past? About what he does to girls like Audrey? Diana froze, her eyes darting to Victor, who had gone completely still. That's absurd, Caleb. Your father is just jealous and making up stories. Then why did I find newspaper articles about girls who disappeared after working with him? Why does Victor Laszlo have a different name in Belarus? What? That's enough. Diana cut him off sharply. Put your father on the phone right now. He's not here, Caleb replied. He and Audrey left an hour ago. Said they had evidence to deliver to Detective Tanner. Diana's hand trembled as she ended the call, turning to Victor with panic in her eyes. We have a problem. Across town, Detective Frank Tanner reviewed the evidence Russell and Audrey had presented, financial records showing Victor's pattern of exploitation, testimony from former victims, documentation of the current scheme targeting Russell's assets. This is comprehensive, Frank acknowledged, but still circumstantial for some of the more serious allegations. Which is why we need access to his safe, Russell explained. According to my intelligence, that's where he keeps records of his forgery operations, insurance against his associates. And how exactly do you plan to access this safe? Frank asked skeptically. Russell smiled grimly. It's already done. The device Gregory planted is doing its work now, creating a digital key from the inside. By morning, we'll have everything. Assuming your brother-in-law doesn't break under pressure. He won't have to hold out long, Russell assured him. Victor's focused on damage control now, and we're about to add to his problems. At the Sentinel security offices, Olivia coordinated with Russell's team, monitoring the digital attacks on his accounts and preparing countermeasures. They're getting aggressive, reported one technician. Brute force attempts on the main servers. Let them think they're making progress, Olivia instructed. The honeypot accounts are ready? Yes. If they break through, they'll only access the decoys. Olivia's phone buzzed with a message from Russell. Phase 2 initiated. Prepare financial reversal protocols. In Victor's penthouse, chaos erupted as reports came in from his technical team. We've been locked out of half the accounts we'd accessed, a hacker reported frantically. And the ones we still control are showing signs of external monitoring. Victor slammed his fist on the desk. How is this possible? He's supposed to be technologically incompetent outside his security systems. Diana looked shell-shocked. I don't understand. How could Russell possibly know what we were planning? Because you underestimated him, Gregory said quietly from the corner. We all did. Victor turned on him. What did you do? Before Gregory could answer, every screen in the room went black, then displayed a single message. Access denied. Unauthorized transfer attempts logged and reported to federal authorities. Victor's phone rang, a secure line used only by his most discreet associates. He answered cautiously, "Yes? We're pulling out," came a curt voice. "Too much heat. FBI Cyber Division is active on these accounts." "Wait," Victor began, but the line went dead. Diana sank into a chair, the reality of their situation finally dawning. "What happens now?" Victor's expression hardened. "We adapt. We still have control of the house, access to some accounts. Most importantly, we have leverage." "What leverage?" Diana asked. "Your daughter," Victor said coldly. "Russell's precious Audrey." At Sentinel Security, alarms blared as new alerts flooded the system. "They've changed tactics," Olivia reported to Russell over the secure line. "They're targeting Audrey's phone, trying to track her location." As expected, Russell replied calmly. "Are the false coordinates transmitting?" "Yes. According to her phone's GPS, she's at your downtown office." "Perfect. Maintain surveillance on all targets." "I'm moving to position." In Victor's penthouse, a technician called out triumphantly, "Got her. Audrey Mercer's phone is active at the Sentinel offices downtown." Victor smiled coldly. "Russell thinks he's clever, but he's left his daughter vulnerable. Diana, call your son back. Tell him you're worried about his sister, that you need to meet him, alone." Diana hesitated, a flicker of maternal concern crossing her face. "You won't hurt them, will you? They're still my children." "Of course not," Victor assured her smoothly. "They're just bargaining chips to bring Russell back to the table. Now make the call." As Diana reluctantly dialed, Gregory watched with growing horror, realizing the full extent of Victor's ruthlessness and his own complicity in endangering his niece and nephew. "I need to use the bathroom," he announced abruptly. Victor nodded to a security guard, who followed Gregory to ensure he didn't try to escape or make contact with Russell. In the bathroom, Gregory pulled out a second phone, one Russell had given him for emergencies, and quickly typed a message before flushing the toilet to mask the sound of sending. "He's targeting Audrey. Using Diana to lure Caleb." The message sent just as the guard rapped on the door. "Time's up." Meanwhile, Russell and Audrey were not at the Sentinel offices at all, but in an unmarked van near Victor's gallery, monitoring the electronic signals emanating from the devices Gregory had planted. "Dad?" Audrey said suddenly. Gregory's emergency signal just activated. Russell checked the message, his expression darkening. "Call Detective Tanner. Tell him it's time." Audrey made the call while Russell prepared specialized equipment from his military days, tools designed for highly specialized extraction operations. "What about Caleb?" Audrey asked worriedly. "If Mom tries to use him as bait." "Your brother is smarter than they give him credit for," Russell assured her. "And he has backup." Indeed, when Caleb received Diana's frantic call about meeting to protect Audrey, he immediately recognized the manipulation tactics his father had warned him about. Instead of agreeing to meet his mother alone, he contacted the number Russell had given him. "They're trying to use me to get to Audrey," he reported. "Stay where you are," came the immediate response. "Security personnel are en route to your location." Within minutes, 2 former Special Forces operators from Sentinel Security arrived at the lake house, establishing a protective perimeter around Caleb. "Your father anticipated this," one explained. "Our job is to keep you safe while he handles Victor Laszlo." For the first time in months, Caleb felt something shift inside him, a renewed respect for the father he had dismissed as weak. At Victor's gallery, Russell moved silently through the darkened space, disabling security systems with practiced ease. The building was empty at this late hour, except for Victor's private office, where a light still burned. Russell activated his earpiece. "Olivia, status. Victor's leaving the penthouse, heading your way. Diana and Gregory still there under guard. Audrey and Caleb secure. And our technical package? Complete. The device in Victor's safe has transmitted everything. Detective Tanner has the evidence he needs." Russell smiled grimly. "Perfect. Time to spring the trap." Chapter 8. Revenge Served Cold. Victor Laszlo entered his gallery through the private entrance, immediately sensing something wrong. The security system indicator showed green, but the usual verification chime hadn't sounded. He drew a small pistol from his jacket, moving cautiously toward his office. "Looking for something?" Russell's voice came from behind him. Victor spun, aiming the gun at the shadows where Russell sat calmly in a visitor's chair. "Mercer." Victor's voice betrayed no surprise. I wondered when you'd show yourself. Sorry to keep you waiting, Russell replied conversationally. I've been busy retrieving my assets, gathering evidence, ensuring my children's safety. Victor kept the gun steady. Impressive, but ultimately futile. You're forgetting who I have. Your wife, your brother-in-law. One call from me, and they suffer the consequences of your heroics. Interesting threat, Russell nodded. But there's a flaw in your logic. And what's that? You're assuming I care what happens to the woman who betrayed me. Russell stood slowly. As for Gregory, his usefulness to me ended when he planted those devices in your safe. Victor's confidence faltered slightly. You're bluffing. A man like you doesn't abandon family. Family doesn't plot to steal my life's work, Russell countered. Family doesn't attempt to traffic my daughter into criminal enterprises. You have no proof of that, Victor smiled thinly. Actually, I do. Russell held up a small device. This has been copying your safe's contents for the past 3 hours. Every transaction record, every communication with your forgery network, every plan regarding Audrey. Victor's finger tightened on the trigger. Give me that, and perhaps I'll be merciful with what remains of your family. Russell laughed coldly. You still don't understand your situation. This isn't a negotiation, Victor. It's an execution. You're unarmed, Victor observed. Am I? Russell replied, pressing a button on his watch. Instantly, the gallery's lights went out, plunging them into darkness. Victor fired blindly at where Russell had been standing. The muzzle flashed momentarily, illuminating the empty space. 15 years in special operations, Russell's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Night vision was standard equipment. Another shot from Victor, another miss. Specialized in high-value target extraction, Russell continued, his voice moving around the room. Sometimes those targets needed to disappear permanently. Victor backed toward the wall, trying to minimize his exposure. We can make a deal, Mercer. I have resources you can't imagine. I don't want your resources, Russell's voice hardened. I want justice. The gallery's emergency lights activated suddenly, bathing the space in a dim red glow. Victor found himself staring at Russell, standing calmly 10 feet away, hands empty, face impassive. It's over, Victor, Russell said quietly. The FBI has your records. Interpol is moving on your European operations. Your financial network is frozen. Victor raised his gun again, desperation in his eyes. I'll still have the satisfaction of killing you. No, came a new voice as Detective Tanner stepped from the shadows, his service weapon trained on Victor. You won't. Victor's head whipped between them, realizing he'd been outmaneuvered. With sudden fury, he aimed at Russell and fired, only to hear the hollow click of an empty chamber. I replaced your ammunition while you were threatening my family at your penthouse, Russell explained calmly. Another specialization from my military days, psychological warfare. As Tanner handcuffed a stunned Victor, Russell retrieved his phone, checking the surveillance of Victor's penthouse. On the screen, Diana paced anxiously while Gregory sat under guard. And my wife? Victor demanded. She was equally complicit. Oh, I know, Russell assured him. Diana's role has been thoroughly documented. He looked at Detective Tanner. Your colleagues should be arresting her right about now. Indeed, on the surveillance feed, FBI agents were entering the penthouse, placing Diana and the security personnel under arrest while escorting Gregory to safety. You've been planning this for months, Victor realized. No, Russell corrected. Just since I saw that surveillance footage of strange lights at my house. Amazing how quickly one can assemble an operation when properly motivated. As Tanner led Victor away, the art dealer called back. This isn't over, Mercer. People like me don't stay in prison. Russell watched him go, then activated his earpiece. Package secured. Proceed with financial recovery. Across town, Olivia confirmed. All assets being restored to secure accounts. Trust funds locked down with new authentication protocols. And the children? Safe. Both asking for you. The next morning, Russell sat with Audrey and Caleb in their family home, now cleared of Diana's belongings and Victor's influence. What happens now? Caleb asked, subdued after the night's events. Victor faces federal charges for fraud, attempted trafficking, and numerous other crimes, Russell explained. With the evidence we've gathered, he'll be away for a very long time. And Mom? Audrey asked quietly. Russell's expression hardened. She made her choices. The evidence shows she was fully aware of Victor's plans, including his intentions for you, Audrey. She faces conspiracy charges. Caleb looked devastated. She was willing to let him take Audrey? For money. People reveal their true nature under pressure, Russell said simply. Your mother revealed hers. What about us? Audrey asked. What happens to our family now? Russell regarded his children thoughtfully. That depends on what you want. You're both old enough to make informed choices. I want to stay with you, Audrey said immediately. Caleb hesitated, then nodded. Me too. I'm sorry I didn't believe you at first. No apologies necessary, Russell assured him. Victor was manipulating all of us in different ways. Even you? Caleb asked skeptically. Even me, Russell admitted. He correctly identified my greatest vulnerability, my family. But he miscalculated how far I would go to protect it. Later that evening, Russell met with Olivia, Gregory, and Detective Tanner at a private club to debrief. Victor's international associates are scattering, Olivia reported. Interpol has apprehended 3 already. Diana's not talking, Tanner added. But with the evidence from Victor's safe, she doesn't need to. The prosecutor is offering a deal, but it still means significant prison time. Russell nodded, his expression unreadable. Gregory shifted uncomfortably. What about me? I was part of their scheme initially. You made the right choice in the end, Russell said. That counts for something. The evidence shows you were coerced through your gambling debts, which have now been cleared. Gregory looked surprised. You paid my debts? After everything. Not for you, Russell clarified. For my children. They've lost their mother to her own greed. They don't need to lose their uncle too. What about Eleanor? Tanner asked. My mother-in-law appears to have been an unwitting participant, Russell said. She knew Diana was having an affair and planning to leave me, but not about Victor's criminal activities or plans for Audrey. That's surprisingly merciful of you, Olivia observed. Russell's expression darkened. Don't mistake strategic thinking for mercy. Eleanor Hammond will live with the knowledge that her daughter threw away everything for a criminal who would have trafficked her granddaughter. That's punishment enough. As the others departed, Olivia remained behind with Russell. Was it worth it? She asked quietly. Losing Diana? Russell considered the question. I lost Diana long before this happened. What I couldn't lose was my children or the life I built. He swirled the whiskey in his glass. In Special Forces, we learned that sometimes the mission requires sacrifices. I sacrificed the illusion of a perfect family to save what truly mattered. And now we rebuild, Russell said simply, with those who proved their loyalty, and without those who didn't. Chapter 9, New Beginnings. 1 year later, Russell Mercer studied the college application forms spread across his desk, Caleb's top choices for the following fall. The family office, once Diana's domain for social planning, had been transformed into a shared space where father and children connected over their futures. Cornell's program looks impressive, Russell commented as Caleb entered. Their engineering department has the robotics focus I want, Caleb confirmed, settling into a chair. But Stanford's connections to tech companies are better. Both excellent options, Russell noted with pride. The past year had matured his son remarkably, the entitled teenager replaced by a focused young man. Have you heard anything? Caleb asked, the question they both knew was coming. Russell shook his head. Your mother's appeal was denied last month. She'll serve her full sentence. Caleb nodded, his expression complicated but resolute. I haven't responded to her latest letter. That's your choice, Russell said carefully. I won't tell you how to handle your relationship with her. What relationship? Caleb's voice hardened. She was willing to let Victor take Audrey. For money. I can't forgive that. Neither can I, Russell agreed. But carrying anger forever only hurts you in the end. Is that why you never visit her? To avoid the anger? Russell considered his response. I don't visit her because there's nothing left to say. The past is settled. I choose to focus on the future, yours and Audrey's. Diana's conviction had shocked their social circle. 5 years for conspiracy to commit fraud and endangering a minor. Eleanor Hammond had retreated to Europe, unable to face the scandal. Gregory, after extensive therapy for his gambling addiction, now worked in Sentinel's administrative division, rebuilding his life one day at a time. Audrey entered the office, her art portfolio under her arm. At 16, she showed remarkable talent, now nurtured by legitimate mentors at a prestigious arts academy. Portfolio review tomorrow, she announced nervously. You'll impress them, Caleb assured her. Russell smiled at his children's easy camaraderie, one positive outcome from the ordeal. They had formed a stronger bond, protecting each other through the media attention and whispers that had followed the arrests. Actually, Audrey said hesitantly, I have something to show you both first. She opened her portfolio to reveal a striking portrait. Russell seated in this very office, expression thoughtful but resolute. The technique was masterful, capturing both strength and the subtle weariness around his eyes. It's called After the Storm, she explained. For the exhibition, Russell studied it, genuinely moved. It's extraordinary, Audrey. I wanted to show how someone can be changed by circumstances without being broken by them, she said. That's what you taught us. The doorbell interrupted the moment. Russell checked his security monitor, then smiled. Perfect timing. He opened the door to Olivia Reed, whose relationship with the family had evolved significantly over the past year. Initially a professional ally, she had become something more to Russell, and a valued presence for the children. Am I interrupting? She asked, noticing the portfolio. Just admiring Audrey's latest masterpiece, Russell welcomed her in. We're discussing college options for Caleb too. Stanford's pulled ahead. Caleb informed her with the easy familiarity that had developed between them. Excellent choice, Olivia approved. Their cybersecurity program could use someone with your analytical skills. As they settled in the living room, Russell observed the comfortable dynamic, his children, Olivia, and himself forming something unexpected but genuine. Not a replacement family, but a new constellation formed after the old one had imploded. Later that evening, after the children had retreated to their rooms and Olivia had left with plans to return for dinner the following night, Russell received a call from Detective Tanner. Thought you should know, Frank said without preamble. Victor Laszlo was denied transfer to minimum security. His appeals have all failed. Good, Russell said simply. There's more, Frank continued. He tried to contact Diana through another inmate. The warden intercepted it. And he was still making promises. After all this time, all the evidence, she was still responding. Some people never learn. After hanging up, Russell stood at his window, watching the security lights illuminate his garden, the same garden once captured in that surveillance footage that had started everything. His phone chimed with a message from Olivia. Thinking of you. Dinner plans confirmed for tomorrow. Russell smiled and confirmed, then set his phone aside. The past year had taught him valuable lessons about trust, betrayal, and resilience. He had discovered the importance of building connections based on loyalty rather than obligation, of recognizing true allies amid convenient relationships. Most importantly, he learned that protecting what matters sometimes required ruthless decisions. Victor and Diana had mistaken his strategic patience for weakness, his calculated planning for surrender. They had failed to understand that a man trained to dismantle threats would never allow his children or his life's work to be stolen. The final asset transfers from Victor's frozen accounts had been completed last week, funds now distributed to his victims, including the young artist who had escaped his trafficking operations. Justice served completely, as Russell had promised. In his study, Russell opened his safe and reviewed the final contingency plans he'd never needed to implement. Evidence against powerful associates of Victor's who had escaped prosecution. He would keep these securely stored, a reminder and insurance policy against future threats. Some would call his unforgiving stance toward Diana harsh, his complete severance of those who had betrayed him extreme. Russell considered it clarity. Betrayal revealed character, both the betrayers and the betrayeds. His response had revealed his, protective, strategic, and unwavering in defense of what truly mattered. Outside, the security lights dimmed as the timer activated. The darkness retreated, replaced by the soft glow of interior lamps. Inside these walls, Russell had rebuilt something unexpected from the wreckage of betrayal. Not the perfect family portrait Diana had cultivated for social media, but something authentic, resilient, and fiercely protected. After all, he thought as he closed the safe, some loyalties, once shattered, could never be restored. But from those fragments, new bonds could form, stronger for having survived the breaking.